Hi there, welcome to my studio. Today we're talking about the practice log. I have 5 things that I want you to think about when you're working on a practice log. We also sometimes use the term journaling when we talk about practice. And a log versus a journal, these are just 2 different ways to pay attention and notate what are we doing and why. And the why is our goals that we must have set in some great goal setting session, right? Now, if we haven't had a goal setting session, that's okay. You know you want to sound better. We want to get down in our chair. We want it to come easy, right? We want to have that ease. We want to have that relaxed power as brass players that we know, we see is possible in our mentors, people whose playing we admire. We hear them in podcasts. We hear them speak about how they're so busy and they don't have a lot of time. So we know it's possible for us to do it too. Today we're talking about logging practice. We know we need to do it. Here's 5 tips to make it a success. Number 1, the format does not matter. Anything is fine as long as you're going to do it. So I use a calendar. I like seeing the months go by. I'm very much a to-do list and a calendar person. But if you are not, the best way to start is with a simple calendar log. So I'm going to show you some examples of those. Here is one. This is probably the most simple you could even do. The entire calendar on one 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. You could draw it out or you could print it out. This is on my bathroom cabinet. I took it down to bring it in to show you today. It's my exercise log. So when I'm doing yoga, when I'm going out and walking and running. And so the colors help me. I like colors, I like stickers. If that works for you, this is what we would call a log. It's just a record of the activity. It's not a journal. The difference between an exercise or practice or any kind of journal would be that the journal would bring in the emotions and more to the story, how you felt, what you did, how it went. This has none of that. This does not tell you how I felt at any particular time. It's a simple log that is certainly fine. It helps me remember that I need to do it. That's the main thing. This can look like this. It can be a more advanced calendar. As long as you're doing something, the format does not matter. That is number 1. Now, let's talk about one other thing that comes up when we're talking about logging, especially the calendar log. It's not about how many hours you practice. And I know we know this, but let's just remember that we've had a lot of activity recently. The sense of this idea of 10,000 hours, which is the point at which we start to have different pathways to complete tasks better. And there's been a lot of press about this 10,000 hours to the point where people are now just clocking hours and assuming it'll magically appear at the number 10,000. But we know that's not what it is, and you know that too. So just remind yourself of that. I know that a well-placed 30 minutes is way better than a mentally unconnected hour. So this is why I worry when I know so many of my students are doing other things when they're practicing. When we step out onto the stage, we want to strip away all that stuff that we focus on instead of the story we want to tell. Our story from here. Your story has never been told. Your story is unique. And when you step out onto that stage, you can't be thinking about how you're going to get enough air in. Now, not that you won't be thinking that. You will. But you need to think of your story too. It needs to be mostly about the story. And then once in a while think, oh, am I going to make this phrase? You've practiced it and you've logged it and you know you have to trust. You will make that phrase. So if you're looking at calendar planning like this, there's some nice options that aren't too bulky and that don't feel like you have to write a book. Because if that's not you, you won't do it. I actually prefer the calendar log because I also journal separately from practice. So if I'm already journaling and I can mention practice, the log sort of works better for me. But it's up to you. It's what you'll actually do. So I wanted to show you. This was $1. It was 97 cents at Walmart. This cute little calendar, you can hang it up. You could put it in the front of your notebook. You could throw it in your bag. This little small gives you enough room to write that you maybe check off warm up, check off your solo, check off whatever your audition materials are, whatever's happening. And it lets you see things like days off, things where you're struggling. You could give yourself some kind of a little quick little jot, like feels good, felt a little tricky. This I got at the dollar store, same idea, but just a little bit bigger. So it sort of depends if you had a favorite sense. Then you could do something like this. I did this one time. I printed out on 11 by 17 just the year at a glance. And this one was enough bigger, and then I wrote practice on it. And you can see there's color coding on there. Then we have all kinds of variety of different journal types, right? We have all kinds of different varieties of journals. You can buy these at the dollar store too. There's stickers. I tell you what, there's all kinds of things that you can do to brighten it up and make it something that you enjoy. It should be positive. We want this to feel active because action feels positive. If you feel frustrated and nothing will help, then that's that stuck place. We don't want to be stuck. A practice log and a practice journal is how to get unstuck, right? You're doing that work, like Stephen Pressfield always says, right? You just have to bust through being stuck. And something like a sticker, I know it sounds silly, but it works well, especially when you're teaching. It works well when you're working with little children. And I think that many an adult likes a well-placed little sticker too. You know, another thing I love are these little sticky notes, these little tab sticky notes. You can peel one off, put it in the spot in your music and say, learn this. Another thing I will do sometimes with these larger ones is I will log tempos. So if I'm working on a duo or a quartet and I know that everybody's agreed on a certain tempo and I'm working on my way to get it there, that's something that I work a lot on too with these little stickers. Another option for us is if you like writing and you would rather just journal, then there's these nice large size books which feel hefty and it makes it feel real professional. I like this one a lot. This is another one I really liked. This was $3 at Walmart. It is a sketch pad, so you have blank pages without the lines. I thought that was really nice because then you could draw in your own format. If you like circles, use circles. If you want to do the week at a glance and then do some kind of total down along the bottom, you could put your stickers in here. I tell you what, it would be great. All right, number 2, you've got to commit to it. Make sure that you agree to yourself that you're going to do this because it only works if you do it consistently. The reason that we're logging is to see growth and patterns which have aligned with the goals that we have already set. So goal setting might be a different video, right? The idea is this thing we're doing, this music thing, it's all mental. And I know we know that. The physicalities of playing the tuba or whatever your instrument is are minor compared to the mental challenges it takes to get through this field in one piece, mentally stable. So it's the mental things that we need to log. Those are the things we need to work on. So number 2, commit fully. Make sure that you're on board with doing it because it's how you're going to get ahead. This isn't one of those things that it falls into the it must be nice category. If I had time, I'd record more. If I had time, I'd log my practice. No, we need to do it. It is not an optional thing. We need to do this. Number 3, be honest. We have got to be honest because this is for ourselves. So if I pick this up and I write whatever I think I want to hear or I write what I'm going to post on Instagram, no, it has to be real. You have to be honest because remember, it's about seeing patterns. You log your practice so that you can learn from the journey. You can see where you've been, what you did, what worked, what didn't work, the bad, the good, the ugly, everything. That's why, again, we're journaling when we're writing additional things besides what happened. A practice log could be as simple as, I practiced. Check. You checked it off next to the day on the calendar. That's fine, but you could go farther. If you're going to journal, like in a nice little book like this, oh, it's all pretty and there's a unicorn, okay. So you need to be honest, though. It's not for Instagram. It's not for Twitter. It's for you. It's for your journey. Remember I said this is all mental. We have to figure out the way to get through that mental journey, and you have to be honest. So when you're thinking about how can I get more out of my practice session, good note-taking, writing things down that you can look at again later. So it's a 2-part process, right? First, we're going to write it down. We're going to play. We're going to write it down. I'm at this tempo. I did this, that, and the other. Then we're going to look at it later, and we're going to see how did what I did pay off? What did I see as a result? What did I skip? How was I off? And then go back and edit and add in. It's hugely important for me because that's that being honest. I need to understand how I'm screwing this up. Because if I'm screwing it up, I fix that. Can you fix everything? No. But you can go to the dollar store and buy a calendar. That you can do. Don't forget, it's not about the hours. Don't just clock your hours and say you're done. It's about the journaling and how you did. Are they faster? Were they supposed to be slower? Were you working on intonation? What went on when your butt was in the seat? What did you do? Did it fix it? Is there something better? You shouldn't be getting up again unless there's something better, even a small sliver better. because there's these glorious 365 days in the year. And if I make my minor scales a sliver smoother every day, they're going to be quite fabulous in 365 days. And you got to take that long view. So don't get caught up thinking about the hours. I did my 2 hours, I'm going to be a professional. No. No. Just make sure that you pay attention to the goals, and that's why we need a goal setting video. The goals come and then the work. Number 4, change it up. Don't get stuck in a rut. Use a sticker, buy a journal, whatever. Make sure that you're doing something that feels a little bit fresh. I wanted to show you an example of one thing that I did. I recently posted some buzzing videos, and as I was getting used to doing them, I wanted to make sure they flowed well, so I decided I would make a goal of doing them for a week. I got this cute little one at TJ Maxx. It's a to-do list by the week, so it has them Monday through Friday, and I used it and some color to just log how it felt. So this would be on the sort of journal side where I'm logging feelings and how it worked with my goals. And I did the buzzing videos every day so that I could check that they flowed okay before I posted them. So you'll see that I worked in every day. I notated what time it was, how I felt. If I did the buzzing, there's 2. If I did the first one or the second one. And then at the end of the week, I can look back and I can see it felt great. It says a buzzing felt relaxed. This may not be my normal way of logging, but if I decided for a special week just to try something new or to attack a particular goal, number 4, change it up. Okay, we decided that the format doesn't matter, but you're going to commit to it fully. You're going to be honest, and once in a while you're going to change it up. And then lastly, I want you to talk about it. Talk about it with people who you admire. If you're in a master class, ask a question. Tell us about a time you've logged your practice. Do you still log your practice? How do you plan the calendar around your practice? I would love to hear some of our mentors answer that question, wouldn't you? And it's something that we all do, but it isn't necessarily something we mention. So follow people that you love on social media and see if they mention these kinds of things. When you talk about it with people, you get all kinds of new ideas. Somebody does a different method, you think, oh, that might be good, I might try that. And it's a way to stir up the ideas in your head, because remember, change it up. And so when you talk to people about it, you learn tips and tricks from them that you didn't think of before, something that might work for you that you didn't try. Now, another reason that it's important to talk about the practice journey with people, not only to get great ideas and tips and tricks, but also because we don't talk enough about the painful process. It is all mental, as I said. And I don't think we uncover that part of it enough. We can be guilty, all of us, myself included, of glossing over the difficulties in favor of positive material on social media. When we're giving a masterclass, nobody wants to sign on to a Zoom masterclass and listen to somebody complain about their practice session for an hour. So I think we gloss over how hard practice motivation can be. And one of the things that I want you to talk about it for is to bring that up. Let's bring this into the light. Let's talk about it, because it's not just that gorgeous CD or that flawless thing that you finally got. Let's talk about how it took to get there. That's the mental part, and I do think we don't talk about that quite enough. Are we being honest with each other about what it takes to do this, and how hard it is sometimes, and how we struggle? We all know that if we can form a habit, it's much easier, but how do we get that habit going? What does it take to log for a year? If you talk to somebody who had been logging all their whole life, it's probably pretty easy for them, but how did they get there? Where did they struggle? What can we learn from that? Don't get caught thinking about how many hours you're spending. It's not about that. Let's say it again for the people in the back. It's not about how long you sit there. It's what you do. What you do when you're in the chair. Now, I wanted to give you an example with my exercise log about how it's important to look for patterns. So if you look at my exercise log, one of the things that you will see is I do pretty well. But for some reason, there was no yoga in the first week of May. And I can look back now from the safety of my December zone when I'm filming, and I can look back and I can say, okay, I've done pretty well with yoga 2 or 3 times a week, and sometimes 4. But how come there isn't any in the first week of May? Academics, any guesses? What happens in the first week of May in my life? Well, that's finals week. Why aren't I doing any yoga in finals week? If you were me, you would say that probably yoga in finals week is one of the most important times of the whole entire year. Because even for the professor, you're grading juries, you're grading assignments, we're giving last minute lessons, we're maybe making recording sessions, maybe we've given some last minute concerts, hosted those last minute artists. It's exhausting. We're tired, we want to do well. I want the studio to shine, so we're having endless piano coachings, right? And listening parties, and we're getting all those last assignments in. And for me as a professor, grading them with spirit and energy means that I need to have a clear head. And the fact that I did no yoga in that last week of May, from the benefit of hindsight, right, I can look back and I can see that's a concern. And I can make a goal. I can say, all right, I noticed from my practice log, or I noticed from my yoga log, that I skipped it when the chips were down. However, that's one of the things you should do first when the chips are down. I should be getting down on that yoga mat immediately in finals week. So I can make a specific goal. I can say in finals week, I'm going to do yoga 4 times, and I'm going to do it at these times of the day, and I can make a note. You know, one of the things that I love, you guys, I got this at Walmart for $1, come on. These are these nice index cards, the bright colors, and I will pull one out, and I will write a note and put it right on my kitchen counter, somewhere where I know that I will see it. I also love sticky notes, big fan of sticky notes. And these are big reminders for me. These are the ways that I see what's coming at me. If I made a yoga sticky note and I stuck it on my bathroom cabinet, even if before I went to bed, that would be huge. Now, I don't tend to need as much motivation to practice because I'm one of those people that at the time in my life, I can do it. It's more automatic. So for me, where I find I really need to log is for the exercise, which is something that I am going to skip if given half a chance. So we've talked about these 5 ways, some things that you can think about practice logs. And I think one of those key items is that it's not optional. It's like recording. It's something you really must be doing. It's not something that you could get to later. If you don't know what's happening, you forget. You won't tell me how many days you practiced 3 months ago. None of us remember. But if you set goals and you log them, it makes a lot more sense to you later if you're seeing the result you want or not. And if not, it's okay because you can change your format. Somebody like me, I'm in love with calendars and sticky notes, stickers and pretty pens and colored pencils. When I was getting ready to film this for you, I went and bought new colored pencils. I tell you what, it was the highlight of my week. I love a colored pencil. So if that makes me happy and that makes me do more minor scales, then I'll spend all the money on colored pencils that I can. You just have to figure out what works for you. And for me, seeing those pretty calendars that I don't want to mess up by having a day off, that's motivation for me. Even if I practice and I'm sitting down and I'm playing my long tones at 9 o'clock at night, that happens. So it's better than not doing it at all. And you don't want to freak yourself out. So if you have the calendar and the log, then it works because you can plan it. Don't forget, it's not about how many hours. It's the quality of your work, the mental focus, and what you got done. What you did to your playing. What you got out of the way so that your soul could speak. We're musicians. When we step onto the stage is a sacred place. We walk out there. Whether our stage is now a virtual one or whether our stage is in person, we walk out there and we open our soul to the audience. And they acknowledge that we've done that through their applause and their attention. And another thing, don't decide you're going to start at the new year. Don't do that whole New Year's resolution thing because you should start now. Get a calendar, go open it up February. All right, February is great. Start it now. And then if you go and there aren't any calendars because it's, I don't know, August, well, just make one on the computer then. And then when you get to the store and it's the right time, then you can buy a fancy one. And because we all make excuses, don't wait, don't put it off. You have to start now. You've got to form that habit. Because once you form the habit, then you'll feel funny when you don't do it. I know we shouldn't work on guilt a lot. Guilt can be very harmful to us, but I will say that I do work on guilt quite a bit. So I will feel guilty if I haven't got on the horn. And if I got on the horn but I didn't do one of the things that I said I was going to do, maybe I wanted to skip the buzzing video because it just felt too hard, I'll feel a little twinge. I'll feel a little guilty that I haven't done it. And I think that that can work positively because then there's that joy in checking it off. When I was doing my, When I was doing my week of buzzing, it's a week of buzzing. If you don't buzz one of the days, it kind of takes that out the window. So let's talk about that then. So let's say it doesn't go well. Let's say you lose your log and then you find it and it's been a week. You know what? That's life. That's part of that mental process. Pick it back up, circle your week, you'll be able to do what I did, where I said, oh my gosh, I have no yoga for the finals week. And then you can just say, yeah, that was when I lost it. So I need to talk about that with myself. I need to be honest. Why did I lose it? It obviously wasn't to the front of my mind, right? Pay attention. This is for you. You matter. Remember, we got to tell your story to the audiences of the world everywhere. And they want to hear authenticity. They want to hear your voice, not somebody struggling to make the horn speak. Not that we're not all still doing that, because I'm still doing that too. But when you're preparing your performance, they should feel that has been gotten out of the way. The audience should feel that is gone and that you're free to speak. Remember, it's okay if some of that's an act. You're just showing the audience your comfort. You're showing them your story. And that's joy for them too. And it starts with the boring, tedious stuff, like logging for an entire year. It's worth it though. So go practice. You should go practice. Remember, the format doesn't matter. All that matters is that you commit to it fully. You be honest. You develop that habit. Then you change it up once in a while, just to get a little bit of fresh energy into your practice. And then you talk about it with people and get new ideas and showcase the process in a helpful and honest way. And be real about the struggle, because sometimes it's not good to gloss over and always be positive. Sometimes it's good to admit that this is a hard field. You know what? It's only going to get more difficult now. So if we're ready to take on the next decades in this performance career field, being performers and educators is going to look a lot different than we all expected. So our flexibility to swerve and shift is going to be more important than ever. And I know that we can do it. I keep a log next to me when I practice because I get all kinds of brilliant ideas in my practice session. And I know that you do too. Write them down, throw them onto the log, journal how you're feeling. Keep yourself focused on what you want. Because when your butt's in that seat, you can't do it. So get out of here and go practice.